Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 21st episode of the Trainers Lounge, the show where we talk about anything and everything about L&D. And today we're going to talk about training facilitation and how do we transition from face to face to online, and maybe talk about hybrid sessions. All right. And of course, before we go on with our show tonight, don't forget to like and follow our pages. That's CLDP Philippines. You can find us on Facebook. And we also have a YouTube channel. All of our videos from the past episodes and also from our other programs are there. So if you missed our weekly episode, don't worry, we got you covered. Just go to Circological Group at YouTube and also at Facebook. All right, well, without further ado, let's meet our guest for tonight. He is a certified learning and development professional with a passion for public speaking, and because of this passion, he took a Bachelor of Arts in Speech Communication at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. Upon graduation, he explored various roles in multiple industries, including real estate, food, and banking, and before finally finding his niche in learning and development. His career in L&D began when he joined the ABS-CBN University, where he was able to do what he loves, public speaking. He facilitated university programs, did voiceovers, and hosted events for ABS-CBN. He also worked closely with students and the academy in mounting and facilitating learning events for their partner schools. Today, he is with the L&D team of Paymaya Philippines, where he designs and delivers L&D programs, and he also facilitates their onboarding programs and hosts several org-wide events, including their company town halls. Outside of work, he enjoys relaxing and spending his time with his girlfriend and family. He is also an avid fan of Netflix and chill. All right, let's welcome Mr. Patrick Javier, CLDP.
Hi,
Good
Kevin.
evening. Hi,
Good
hi.
evening,
How
Kevin.
are you?
Good, good. Good to see you again.
Nice. Yeah, it's good to see you too again. It's been a couple of weeks since we saw last time for the
Right.
CLDP certification program, and congratulations again for passing that.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you.
All right. Well, how have you been? How is your week so far?
Uh, my week has been good, and I really feel good knowing that I am CLDP certified now. So, yeah.
That's good to hear. Oh yeah, I believe you've just received your certificates. Well, that's good to hear, and
Right. Yes.
congratulations again. Well, first I would like to thank you for joining us and sharing your insights about training facilitation and also no dun sa topic na pagta-transition natin from face to face into online, and maybe let's talk about a little bit about hybrid facilitation, no, or yung sometimes face to face and sometimes online. Well, I've already said how you got into L&D, pero what was the story behind it? No,
Hmm.
what was the parang step by step na nangyari? How did you get into L&D?
Okay. Well, it all started back when I was still in banking. So,
Mm,
I was working for a bank back then, and that was in 2018. 2018. So, I
2018.
was working in a bank, and I was not really enjoying the work because it was purely admin work and it was repetitive. Although I did enjoy my colleagues, I like being with them, but I felt that that work wasn't for me. So
Mm.
all I knew is that all I wanted was that I wanted to do public speaking. I didn't know what job I wanted to take. I just wanted to do speak. So I talked to my good friend. Her name is Tita Culi Hernando. So she used to be the regional head of the HR department of a particular company. I forget what it was now. And then she did an assessment on me. Actually, nag-usap kami for 2 hours to help me figure out what industry would suit me, where I should
Mm-hmm.
go.
I
So,
see.
and just to inform you, si Tito Huli kasi is also one of my spiritual advisors because we belong to the kids church, to the same team for the kids church ministry in our church now. So After our 2 hour discussion, we came to the conclusion that ang bagay sa akin is learning and development, corporate training. So
Oh.
I tried it out. I tried it out.
Hmm.
And thankfully, even if I made that career change, it was risky because I was 26, 27 at that time. I made a
Okay.
career change. Yeah, I made a career change. And thankfully, by God's grace, nakapasok ko sa LND. So that was in ABS-CBN University.
Oh, I see. Well, you started off at banking, pero you graduated from UP Diliman with a bachelor's degree in uh, arts and speech, right?
Right, speech communication,
Parang
yes.
parang medyo malayo na din 'yon from banking.
Malayo
Well,
talaga.
kaya nga sabi ba, nag-banking pala siya at
Malayo
first. But
talaga. Yeah,
well, we don't know the opportunities that come, sabi nga nila. But it's best to explore our well, options. And
correct.
well, it's good to see you now in this wonderful industry. And
Thank you.
was it hard? Was it hard transitioning into L&D at first?
It was challenging.
Mm-hmm.
Challenging because I started out as an associate, training associate.
Mm-hmm.
So, puro logistics, ang mga kasabayan ko nun, mga fresh grad. So, kuya ako nun. I was 26, 27 eh. And then it was challenging because I had to relearn everything. I had to start from the bottom of the food chain, learn as much as I can, as quickly as I can. And L&D at that time was a whole new world for me. But at the same time, it was also fun and exciting kasi iba rin kasing environment sa ABS eh. So it was really a wonderful starting point for me in L&D.
I see. And when do you think nag-start yung interest mo na talaga for L&D? Was it before you entered the industry na dahil sinabi lang sa'yo na, oh, try mo to, and then you become interested? Or did it come after nung pumasok ka na sa L&D?
When I got in, when I
Ah, I see.
started, when I when I got certified as a facilitator and when I
Mm,
facilitated during my first time facilitating, that's when I realized I think love ko. Kasi
mm,
what I realized is I'm not just able to do what I love to do, which is public speaking. I
mhm,
realized that with L&D, you're also able to add value to the org by helping it achieve its objectives or its goals or objectives through developing the skills and competencies of the employees. So to know that you're part of that, developing the employees and being a being part of the foundation, kumbaga, of
mhm.
helping the org achieve its goals, it resonates with me. It makes me feel good. So I
I
like
see.
helping the org and I like helping the people.
Yeah, ayun. So yeah, actually I also was into public speaking actually before ako mag take ng BS education back then. I was eyeing mass communication as well.
Mm,
But
mass
yeah,
comm.
pero I came from a family of teachers, so parang it's something
Mm,
that I'm really familiar since I was born, no? Teacher na yung mama ko,
nice, yeah.
principal yung lola ko. So I got into L&D quite late na rin actually because I started first in academe.
Mm.
Same as you,
Which
I
school did you
transition.
teach? So if I may ask,
Uh,
which school?
I don't know if I can disclose this, but it's an American school here in
Ah,
Clark,
okay.
Pampanga.
Okay.
Ayan. I wasn't able to get into public pa. Pero I was able to get my license.
Ah, okay.
But then
Nice.
naligaw ako sa L&D, and so far I'm enjoying what I'm doing and meeting people na passionate about this industry as well.
Nice,
Ayan.
right?
Well, you mentioned kanina that your interest in L&D started when you first facilitated a training. And sakto yun yung topic natin. How can you describe facilitation in training? Ayan.
How do I describe it, facilitation? To be
Like,
clear, no? To be clear, I think facilitation is different from lecturing.
from
Okay,
teaching,
I think
parang
those
ganun.
are two different, yeah, things. Because
Mhm.
when you say you're lecturing or you're teaching, you're simply downloading the information. But when it comes to facilitation, it's more of really using your communication skills, asking the right questions, so
Mhm.
that you can harvest the information or the learnings from the participants so that they can learn from one another. So I think it's really you have to be tactful when you talk to them, when you communicate, and you should also have that knack for building on top of what they say. So when it comes to facilitation, the learning comes from them, from the participants. That's what I think.
Mm. And would you think that facilitating is different from teaching, or is it vice versa, or
I,
do they go hand in hand?
I think they go hand in hand. Kasi when you facilitate, you don't just facilitate it. There are also portions when you really have to lecture, when you really have to teach. So they go hand in hand.
I see. Well, I remember back then when we were studying about teaching, no, yung sa eduk nga. Iba talaga yung facilitating because it involves controlling the outcome eh. Like how do
Right.
you manage things, the elements, the different things na makikita mo sa isang learning
Yeah.
session, and how do you mold, how do you direct basically those people into learning rather than just
Right.
giving it to them na parang spoon feeding.
Right.
Uh, and at the same time, it involves a lot of planning as well. And
Yes, planning.
oh, I remember when I create lesson plans before, I try to think about what I will be doing and what will the students be doing. And then na nag-transition
Mhm.
ako sa LND, I still took up that, or I still, kept that strategy na, okay, so ito yung mangyayari, anong gagawin ko, anong gagawin nila. Para hindi siya maging boring, para maintindihan nila, ganyan. What
Right.
tools can I do to help them learn, or as you said, download the knowledge
Yeah.
better. And for you, what was some of the things that you like muna about facilitating a training?
Is it okay if we don't just talk about facilitation? If I also
Ah, yeah,
dive
sure, sure,
into
no worries.
lecturing kasi they're closely related.
No
What
worries,
I
no
like
worries.
about it is, first of all, you get to speak, you get to
Mm-hmm.
communicate, and you're not just giving the information and they're not just learning from you, you're also learning from them. Lalo na kapag, alimbawa, may mga executives dyan, ganon, you learn from them, and that's the nice thing about that. Also, what I like about it is when when the whole room is in tune, like everyone's participating, everyone's really into it, and you come up with a nice discourse, a fruitful discussion, full of learning. So that's what I like about that.
Ayun, I see. Well, sa ating mga viewers dyan, no, if there's something that you would like to share about your experience when it comes to facilitating learning, feel free to comment down below. And also, if you have questions, ayan, sasagutin namin yan ni Patrick when we see them. Ayan. Well, nung 2 years prior or 2 years before, the norm that we knew is, or the norm that is usually done when it comes to training is face to face. And I think no familiar pa naman tayo sa facilitation when it comes to face to face learning. And how are the strategies back then?
Marami, actually marami. But to mention a few,
Hmm.
I think planning is really important.
Planning,
So
okay.
planning, preparation, how you design the program is very important because it doesn't matter how good you are, how eloquent you are. If yung design ng program hindi swak doon sa participants mo, you're not going to be effective. So when it comes to when it comes to designing, you have to make sure that you come up with the learning objectives or learning outcomes, and you have to ensure na yung objectives mo is tied to the organization's objectives. And then you also have to identify kung ano ba yung methods of assessment natin. How are we
Mhm.
going to measure their learning? How are we going to measure if the program is effective or not? So do we add learning checks? Do we add quizzes? Magre-revalida ba sila at the end of the program? Mga ganon. And then that's the time you design the learning experience. So you really have to get to know your audience. Yeah, very
Mhm.
important also, getting to know your audience. Ano ba yung demographics nila? Are they mostly millennials? Can you use millennial terms? Or meron ba mga Gen X dyan or boomers? Kasi pagka ganun, medyo hindi tayo pwedeng super energetic na baka hindi sila makarelate. Also, you have to identify based on the participants, how will you be presenting this? Can you do it informally, like Taglish tayo, or can you do it formal, or do you have to do it formally? Kailangan ba straight English? Meron ba tayong mga VIPs dyan? Mga executives that you have to be aware of. Yan. So when it comes to preparation, it's really important, it's really imperative. Now, when it comes to the delivery, for face-to-face, face-to-face, ako ang ginagawa ko nun, I go to the I go to the venue as early as possible so that I can get the feel of the room. And then I don't drink coffee. It affects your voice. So, tubig lang, water lang, maligam-gam, gano'n. And then when the participants start coming in, chinichika na yan. Get to know them. Kasi important din na you build the rapport before the program actually starts. Di ba? You build the rapport. So get to know them, what are their expectations, what do they want to learn. Tapos, during the actual program, I also realized that you want to be engaging, right? Pero hindi
Mhm.
pwede na sobrang high
Too
energy ka
close.
papasok.
Oo.
Di ba? Kasi pagka sobrang high energy ka, baka magtaka yung mga tao, ano problema nito? Ano mga tao? Diba?
Yeah,
So,
it might
kailangan sakto lang.
cause space. Oh, it might cause
Yeah,
space pa in between you and the learners eh.
right. Exactly. So, dahan-dahan inaangat yung energy. And you have to always be able to read the room, read the participants. Are they paying attention? Is someone bored? Tapos you have to be engaging when you communicate. And also, when you ask them to recite, you have to be encouraging. So marami talaga eh. Pero these are just some of the few strategies that I can think of.
Ayun. Well, before we get into those parts, no, let's read some comments here. Meron tayo from Harry Aniceto. Hey Harry, kamusta? Facilitation helps to connect new knowledge with experiences, while teaching is strategic and systematized, which is guided by instructions. Oh, I agree nga naman. Yeah.
Yeah. Si Harry,
Uh,
by the way, is may batchmate na yan.
oh, yeah,
Hi,
actually.
Harry! Magaling
Kamusta?
mag-recite yan si
Kamusta?
Harry eh.
Ayan, so Harry and Iseto, thank you so much for watching and tuning in our show. Baka naman next time, ikaw na yung nandito. Ayan.
Go,
But
Harry.
anyways, ayan. Uh, you mentioned kanina na one of the strategies is planning. So let's go into it a little deeper pa. Uh, what are the things that you usually do in the planning phase? Or meron ka bang technique? Ayan, tinatawag na technique.
Training needs analysis. Very
Ayun.
important.
Mm-hmm.
To get to know the audience. Like I mentioned, imperative yung getting to know the audience. So you conduct, kahit simple ano lang eh, simple survey lang eh, ganun eh. Tapos, also, being aware of the objectives talaga. What are the learner objectives? So, yun nga, you have to make sure na tied siya doon sa organizational objectives kasi baka mamaya, kung bara-bara lang yung objectives mo, wala siyang value add doon sa org. Tapos, sorry, ano ulit yung question? So, how do you
Ah,
prepare? Tama ba?
yeah, like you, what are the common things that you do during planning phase?
During planning phase. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, training needs analysis and also identifying talaga the how you will measure their learning. So you have to depende rin sa audience ano bang klase yung method of assessment na gagawin natin. Kailangan ba kung high level to do they have a final project in the end or pwede bang simpleng quizzes lang mga ganon. So when it comes to planning, I think it's really important to apply the principles of instructional design because you can never go wrong if you apply them.
Ayun. And how about during the session itself? Ayan. What are the common things na you are looking for or you're always on standby na mangyari or kailangan gawin?
Kailangan gawin. At the beginning of the program, it's important to lay out the program,
Mm-hmm.
like expectation setting.
Ayun.
So, what's going to happen today? Ano yung
Mm-hmm.
mga ano yung breakdown ng program? Tapos, what are the learning objectives? I-share din natin sa kanila. Also, what are the house rules? What can you do and what you cannot do? Tipong ganon. And also, it's important na you also tell them how they're going to be assessed. Yun nga, are they going to have a quiz in the end? Something like that so they can prepare. So yun, you have to set the expectation. Okay? And then it's also important to have icebreakers. Ang walang kamatayan na icebreaker. So icebreaker kasi it allows you to connect with your audience eh. So
Ah,
ultimo yung icebreaker, kailangan siya pag-isipan kasi hindi lang pwede yung it's fun, fun, fun. It also has to be connected to your topic. It has to be connected. Hindi siya pwedeng bara-bara lang. So, mga ganon. And then, It's also important that you learn how to handle the difficult participants. Yan, yung mga difficult participants. It's also very important na if you have difficult participants, you keep your cool. Parating relax lang. Kasi if you blow up, if you give in, ikaw ang masisira dyan. Pag
Yeah,
gano'n.
yeah. Ikaw ang talo, sabi nga.
Right.
Yeah, I think I one of the things that I also look into when facilitating learning, no, during the session itself is making sure that everyone is on the same phase.
Right.
I mean, let's admit it, no, not all of your participants in a certain learning session will have the same pacing of learning,
Yes.
or yung bilis ika nga of
Right.
understanding what you're talking about or what you're trying to show them. So sometimes I go around the room talaga eh. What uh, sometimes it's a bit biglaan for them na bigla na lang akong magtatanong. Ako yung
Mm.
habit ko, I don't ask for volunteers, I ask. Kasi
Right.
it's my way of checking na okay, does he understand? Does she understand? Are they on the same page? Things like that. You don't have to be really asking them na, oh, naiintindihan nyo ba? O gets nyo ba?
Yeah.
But rather, do it in a way na ipepresent nila and check from there.
Right.
Ayun.
To add
Ay,
to that,
sige.
Kevin, when you were mentioning that you go around, I also remembered during yung breakout sessions, physical breakout sessions, like they have a project or something, it's also important, gaya nga na sinabi mo, to move around, to listen to them. Kasi during their discussion, pwede kang may mapulot dyan which you can mention
Mhm.
during the discussion, when you go back to the discussion. So I think it's also very important to move around, listen to them, learn from them.
Ayun. We have a comment here pala from AJ De La Fuente. Hello, good evening. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. Begin with the end in mind is always
Yes,
a great way to kickstart a
agreed.
session. Ayan, oo. Well, kung alam na nga din naman nila yung mangyayari, no? So I think it's a bit easier on their heads na or in their body na rin na kung meron bang physical activity yan na, oh, okay, so ganito pala yung mangyayari throughout the session. All
Yeah,
right, thank you so much.
expectation setting talaga.
Hmm. All right. Well, now we've talked about some of the things that we do, no, during face-to-face facilitation. Now, how does it differ to online? Ano yung mga nag-iba? Well, unfortunately, no, back in 2019, things went south really quickly. Na hindi tayo nakapag-prepare lahat. I remember back then, March 15, they sent us home and I thought na, okay, sige, 3 days, balik na rin si kami siguro sa office niyan. 3 days passed, nasa bahay pa rin kami. A week passed, bahay pa rin. Months passed, iba na to, sabi ko. We were not trained for this. Now, in terms of facilitating learning, what happened or what became different?
It's really challenging. Actually, maraming nawindang Nung, when we had no choice but to
Oo
transition,
eh, di ba?
nawindang ang mga tao. So, it's very difficult kasi I think the biggest challenge there really is to how do you engage the audience online? How
Mhm.
do you transfer your energy to them online? I mean, doing it face to face, doing it live is already difficult. Diba? It's already difficult to maintain their attention, to keep them engaged. What more if you do it online? Diba? May screen ka sa harapan mo. So, ang pinaka learnings ko rito through this yes, windang. I hear you, Harry. I see you, Harry. Nawindang talaga kami. So, ang when I started facilitating online kasi I was in Paymaya na. So this was my
Ah,
baptism by fire in Paymaya. And yung mga kasama ko sa Paymaya, ang gagaling talaga. Sobrang galing. Lalo na dun sa boss ko. Shout out kay Mabel Davin, hello. So anyway, it's very important that you engage them through different activities. Simple
mhm.
activities like practical stuff I do. For example, opening pa lang. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the program. Now, before we start, I'd like you to unmute yourself and then greet each other with good morning. So mag-unmute sila, ingay, good morning, Doon pa lang nasiset na yung tone. Or kung puro Filipino yan, if there are no expats, you can say, and say, magandang tanghali. So pag nagsalita sila, may marinig kami, yung iba natatawa na, ganon. So more or less, it breaks the ice, ganon. And then after that, you have an icebreaker. Very important yung icebreaker. So icebreakers that I do, normally we use yung Menti. Yan, yung tool na yan, Menti. Or sa ABS man, ang gamit namin is Kahoot. Yan, very useful.
Kahoot, oo, online.
Yeah. Yung mga word cloud, yung mga what do you call this, yung quizzes, very effective sila. And then you can also make use of the chat box. Making use of the chat box. Something as simple as you present a deck during the expectation setting, you present yung topics, di ba? Topics that will be discussed. And then what I do is I ask the audience, now, yung bawat topic kasi, like for example, number 1, topic. Number 2, topic. Number 3, topic. So nakalagay din yung numbers. I tell them, now I want you to type in the chat box the topic that you are most interested in. If you're interested in the first, type in 1. And the second, 2. Tapos makikita mo, nagtatype siya sa chat box. So it's really important to engage them through the chat box and through these platforms. And also, another useful thing is, it's, nakalimutan ko yung sabihin ko. Sasabihin ko na lang pag naalala ko. May sabihin sana ako.
But ako, let me add something naman when it comes to engagement, no? I agree no sinabi mong doing face-to-face is hard enough. However, nung face-to-face kasi, at least you had the physical presence na pareho kayong nandun sa lugar na yun.
Yeah.
That you both exist on that same location. And I believe no that humanity still has some good in itself na may hiya siya na mag-slack off. I don't think, especially on a professional level, no? Especially if they're already working or at the age of adulthood, may hiya na rin naman sila na, ay, nandyan yung trainer or nandyan siya or katabi, kasama ko siya sa kwarto. May hiya akong mag-slack off, may hiya akong matulog.
Right,
I wouldn't stray away too much from what's happening. But in online, once that they say or once that they shut off their cameras and their microphones, wala ka na control.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm not doubting everyone who's turning off their cameras or their microphone, no. But still, it's hard to conduct training when all you see are black boxes. No? Majority na nakikita mo is black boxes. And I think nagkakaroon din ng konting stigma when you always remind them na, paki-open yung cameras. Let's open our cameras.
That's
Although
true.
it's necessary, but I feel na there is a slight effect sa kanila na medyo nakaka-affect na rin sa engagement nila when it comes to the learning session itself.
Yeah. You mentioned yung pag-off ng camera.
Mm-hmm.
I just like to add something to that. Ako kasi ang ginagawa ko, when I send out those emails, I already mentioned there that you will be asked to turn on your cams. So dun pa lang pina-prime mo na sila that you have to turn on your cams. And then during the when you await the participants to join the call, dun pa lang sa chat box, I also mentioned there, please turn on your cams during the program so that your facilitators and your co-participants can see you. Okay, this is a camera on workshop. So dun pa lang pina-prime mo na, kaya when the show starts, when the show starts, naka-on yung camera nila. Tapos hihirit ka na ng, yung iba dyan mukhang nag-ayos talagang camera ready. Tipong gano'n.
Yeah.
And I also, naalala ko na yung sasabihin ko kanina. So I also encourage the participants. I tell them, part of my spiel is, if you hear anything you like or anything that you agree with, please click those reaction buttons. Let's try it now. Do it now. Click those reaction buttons. Doon pa lang may engagement na. Para throughout the program, you see those reactions flying. Teams kasi yung gamit-gamit. You see those reactions flying. And kahit pa paano, there's engagement. May nangyayari pa rin. The participant sees something happening on screen.
Ayan. We have one here from Fritzy Pahimola. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. The entire pandemic experience showed everyone that the learning team's resourcefulness and flexibility. Nobody was ready for it, yet we were all able to deliver. We have learned and adapted to the new norm, which is virtual facilitation. Virtual training made us realize the value of engagement, not only during but even outside training. And thank you
Right.
so much, Ritzy, for sharing your thoughts. No, actually, I agree. Kahit na hindi tayo prepare na I don't think before tayo pa uwiin noon binigyan tayo ng lesson on how to conduct online training, 'di ba? Wala naman ganoon. But yeah, look at us now. Look at the industry now. I I would like to believe, no, that majority were able to adapt to this new normal. Ayan. Well, Patrick, I would also like to now go to another question. No? What transitions did you make?
Transitions,
Yeah,
like
like what are the changes that you made nung ikaw mismo ang napunta na sa online training and you
okay,
have to leave behind face-to-face
right, right.
facilitation?
Very important, your slides. Aside from, na-emphasize ko na kanina yung importance ng preparing, planning, all these
Mm-hmm.
things. Very important, slides. When you see the screen, when it's only the screen that you see,
Mm-hmm.
it's very important na marami kang ilalagay na pictures and you tell a story. Okay? Kasi if it's all text, all bullet after bullet, you're gonna doze off. You're gonna get bored. Pero if you see pictures, it elicits emotions. And when it comes to putting pictures in your deck, I firmly believe, and I read this somewhere, I forget where, that you have to really make the pictures large. Like, wag nang lagyan ng margin. Occupy the entire slide. Because the bigger the pictures, the more emotion it will elicit from your participants.
Mm-hmm.
So when you show the picture, you tell the story. Now, what if for others there na nagpe-present ng data, like all boring numbers, all charts, how do you present the tables? I read that when with Apple, what they do is one chart or one data per slide. They don't bombard their slides with figures. So like let's say you have a pie
Mm-hmm.
chart. Pie chart, lagyan mo lang sa isang slide and then you talk about that. And then if you have five charts, then put five slides. You don't have to bombard them with charts. Ganun siya. So I think very important to tell a story, very important to lessen the words. I keep seeing this. A lot of facilitators, they put bullets with sentences or worse paragraphs. It's too wordy. It's too
Yeah,
wordy.
true.
If you're gonna do that, magsend na lang tayo ng handout. Let them read it. Di ba? Pero
Actually.
no. So, di ba, what you can do is, ako sometimes, in my bullets, I put there one word and then I will elaborate. So that they're listening to me, not reading the slide, not focusing on the slide. Or sometimes phrase lang. And I also
Ah.
make sure, I don't know if some of you would disagree with me, no? Kapag naglabas ako ng bullet, isa-isa. Hindi siya one slide, pack here all the bullets. Kasi the
Mm.
tendency is, it preempts your talking points. So ako, my
Ah.
advice is, add animation, lagyan lang ng appear. Hindi kailangan ng zzzz. Appear lang. Appear one at a time, talk. Appear topic, talk. Ganun lang siya so that it doesn't preempt your talking points. That's for me.
Yeah. It also causes the audience no to read ahead of you. Na, nakikita ko na
Yes,
yung bullets.
exactly.
Okay, ito. But yeah, I think the point here is no, strategies and developing slides became more relevant now
Yes.
kesa dati. Kasi dati siguro optional ang slides, let's say, no? It's not really the norm when it
Mhm.
comes to facilitating a learning session. Pero now it's becoming, if not the norm, the most common na siya when it comes to teaching online. And I agree dun sa mga strategies, no, dun sa mga transitions na mas nag-focus na dito. And
Yeah.
I would also like to add another thing that my professors taught me when I was still in college. Do not read what is on the
Exactly.
slide. Diba?
Yeah,
Kasi if you're reading what's on the slide, then what are you there for? Bakit ka pa nandun? Ba't di
exactly.
na lang sila magbasa? But yeah, limit your words phrases, ganyan. Also limit the things that you are talking about na directly naka-show sa
Yeah,
slides, and have more confidence in what you're delivering rather than what you are showing.
right.
Ayan.
Agreed.
How about naman when it comes to assessments? Ayan. What are the things na nagbago, yung mga transitions na ginawa mo na from this to ganito?
Assessments normally well, kahit dati pa kasi we use digital na.
Mm.
So dito, excuse me. So
Mhm.
dito, yeah, we use forms. You can use MS
Google
Forms,
Form.
Google Forms, yeah. Tapos, syempre apply na rin natin yung 𝐂𝐞𝐫𝐿, di ba? Yung mga levels yan. We syempre apply natin yan. So, actually when it comes to evaluating, getting the feedback of the audience, pretty much the same. For me,
Mhm.
pretty much the same.
I see. Pero back then nakakapag ano pa tayo nakakapag practical assessment, no?
Mm.
I don't know, siguro depende rin sa other industries kasi one of the things that I was thinking when you were talking about assessment is paano yung mga industry na may assessment that has to be done, like actually
Mm.
done, hindi lang siya pwedeng sagutin by a question and answer. How were assessments done through that way or through online?
How do you mean by that, Kevin? What do you mean by assessments that have to be done? What do you mean? What do you
Like
mean by
practical application. Like for example, sa
rally
baking,
test?
'di ba? Oh, like halimbawa, you have to train someone to become a baker. Uh,
Oh,
'Di ba?
okay,
Usually sa mga companies or sa mga manufacturing, they will have you make or they will have you actually make the product. Then
okay.
paano kaya siya no naging online, or what are the things, no? Uh, Siguro sa mga viewers natin diyan, if you have some idea, no, why not share it to us? Paano po ninyo na-overcome yung mga practical assessments through online? Meron tayo dito si AJ ulit, skills assessment. Okay. Baka naman po you can share more about that. Ayan. Well, moving forward, nowadays na medyo gumaganda na yung situation natin. I'm not sure if you go outside na ba or do you still stay at home, but medyo lumuluwag na. Things
Yeah.
are getting a bit better, if I may say so. But you mentioned us also that you were all working sometimes at the office and sometimes at home, and this brings up the next concept of teaching or facilitating, which is hybrid. Ayan.
Yeah.
Were you able to conduct na ba, or are you in the process na ba of using hybrid facilitation rather? Sorry.
Right now, we're not yet conducting hybrid, pero that is
Mm,
eventually the plan for next year.
I
So,
see.
kasi I think you cannot escape it. People
Mhm.
realize how effective online facilitation is, that it can be done and it works. So I think, especially with companies na merong team A, team B, team A mag-work on site, team B mag-work from home, and then switch, there might be some companies that wherein they will never experience all their employees going to the office at the same time. Di ba? Especially kung hybrid na. So I think you cannot escape the fact that, I'm not sure if this is a fact though, but I think that's where we're headed right now. Hybrid facilitation talaga. So yeah, that's going to be a huge challenge, but I think it's inevitable.
Are there things na excited ka ba for hybrid, or are there things that you're a bit looking into it in a challenging way na may hirapan ka or
Yeah.
madadalian ka? Yan. Siguro both sides na lang din.
I'm excited about the challenge.
Oh,
Kasi
okay.
when this virtual facilitation thing happened, when this virtual facilitation happened talagang, yun nga, galing yung sabi ko na windang eh. Pero, di ba, more than a year after, ang dami nang magagaling sa virtual facilitation. Kumaga, talagang the facilitators, the L&D professionals were forced to expand. They were
Ah.
forced to build their skills, to branch out to online facilitation. So this hybrid facilitation is going to be a huge challenge, but I think we're going to learn a lot from this. and we're all gonna get this eventually. We're all gonna figure it out eventually. So
Ayun.
excited.
Ako naman, I'm excited to see what are the strategies that
Yeah,
will come out with this new trend. Siguro hindi pa biglaan na babalik tayo sa face-to-face, and I don't think virtual will go out of style all of a sudden then. So yeah, I'm looking forward into the new strategies that we will be using when conducting hybrid setups. No? Na you have to teach sometimes face to face, you have to teach sometimes in virtual settings, and how can you create a seamless experience for the
yeah.
candidates, for the participants. Ayan. And ikaw naman, no, on your personal beliefs, what do you think will be the future of learning facilitation?
I think really it's hybrid talaga. I
Hybrid
think
na,
it's
no?
really hybrid.
Di na tayo
Pero
babalik sa face-to-face lang.
siguro it depends really with the industry. Kasi some companies, they really have to be there. So malamang face-to-face sila. Pero for those na hindi naman kailangan,
Mhm.
especially the tech companies, I think hybrid is the way.
Tsaka
Right, right.
na-experience na nila na they were able to
Yes,
taste how it's done and the benefits
right,
of it as well. So, yun nga, I don't think both of, I don't think na babalik tayo dun sa dati, and I don't think
right.
that we will stay with what we're doing right now, but rather a mix of both worlds, and hopefully, no, make it easier for the companies out there, for training facilitators, and for the participants, syempre, most
Yeah.
importantly. Ayan. Well, Patrick, I think that's all of the questions that I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining us. And do you have any message or last tips or tricks to our audiences tonight?
First of all, thank you, Kevin, for giving me this opportunity. And tips and tricks, I think, nasabi ko naman, so okay na yun. Uh, if you want to connect with me through
Mhm.
LinkedIn, ayan, promote
Ayan.
ko.
No
LinkedIn yan.
worries.
Connect tayo. Friends tayo
Mm.
sa LinkedIn. Yeah. Hit me up.
So they can search just Patrick Javier
Yeah. Patrick Kabir.
for LinkedIn. Ayan. Uy, may nag-comment humabol. Sorry. Uh, Pakita na natin, sayang naman. We use Google Forms for the answer sheet, actual workshops done in their respective offices, branches, okay? And we provide unlisted videos as their guide for the workshops. Then there will be synthesis on the last day of training. That was from Aldrin J. Ladero. Good evening. Thank you so much for tuning in. Another from Fritzy ulit. There are some challenges with the hybrid facilitation. One, slow connection in the Philippines. I'm sorry, natawa ako, pero ang sakit na. Mabagal nga yung internet natin. Two, the training platform that will allow us to appeal to both virtual and BNM participants. And three, the readiness of the facilitators to lead the hybrid class. Oo nga naman. Pero I think, no, unlike nung tumama yung pandemic biglaan, I think now we can have the chance to learn about it, to prepare how to do hybrid facilitation.
Yes.
Kasi dati wala tayong choice, biglaan eh. Pero I think now, if we're going to conduct hybrid, sigurado meron tayong chance to learn more about it muna, and to practice or to check the strategies needed to conduct it. So, yeah, thank you so much from Fritzy and Aldrin. Well, that's all for our episode tonight. Again, Sir Patrick, ang dami kong natutunan, and I enjoyed our topic from today. Hopefully to see you next time with another topic in mind.
Thank you very much, Kevin. I
Usap-usap
also learned a
tayo.
lot from you, Kevin.
Ayan, thank you so much. Well, that's it for now, Sir Patrick. See you next time.
Thank you.
And that was Mr. Patrick Javier, CLDP. Wow. I share his sentiments, though. I am both excited with the challenges that hybrid facilitation may, give to us. But I think what's nice about it is that we get to prepare. This time, we are now well equipped on how to do online, and how can we transition back to face, and how to mix both of those worlds together. I guess, no, learning pa rin is the key. if you stop learning on how to improve yourself and how to do this uh, industry, or how to, help others develop their professional skills, walang mangyayari. So even though we are now on the other end of teaching, we still need to learn, and we still need to look for ways to improve and to make sure that everyone we talk to or we conduct training to learns from us. Well, that's all for the 21st episode of the Trainers Lounge. Hope to see you next time here at the CLDP Philippines page, Trainers Lounge. And of course, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to our channels. Kung na-miss nyo yung mga videos namin and the video today, don't worry, we upload them on our Facebook and YouTube page. That's a Circological Group on YouTube and CLDP Philippines on Facebook. Well, that's all for me. Again, I'm Kevin, and see you again next time in the show where we talk about anything and everything about L&D. This is the Trainers Lounge. Good night for now.